Recently, we made a video about games that showed a complete and total lack of creativity. Now, why does that happen? There's actually a ton of reasons, but one of the biggest is a lack of passion. It's not all doom and gloom out there, though. There are a lot of games that are showing tons of creativity, expertise, and yes, passion. That's what we want to talk about today. Let's showcase some good stuff. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and we're about to talk about 10 upcoming games that are showing true passion. Starting off with number 10, it's the Expanse, Osiris Reborn. This one kind of looks a bit conventional, but if you're aware of the developer's pedigree, it gets a lot more interesting. It's a third-person shooter based on the Expanse book series and TV show. It feels like a natural fit, but it's not some studio at Electronic Arts or Ubisoft that's making this thing. It's Owlcat, the developers of the Pathfinder games, which are hardcore, system-heavy RPGs. To call this game an understatement from the usual output would be a massive understatement. It's literally like if BioWare jumped from Baldur's Gate 2 straight to Mass Effect. It's like the last thing you'd expect this studio to do, but the trailer speaks for itself. From everything we've seen so far, it's shaping up to be a really impressive looking game. Looks like the Mass Effect follow-up that we've wanted for all these years even. I'm not gonna lie to you and say I'm a huge fan of The Expanse. I don't really know anything about it, but I do know that The Expanse Osiris Reborn looks cool as shit. It's not just some licensed sci-fi third-person shooter either. You pick between 3 different origins, you bring along 2 companions into combat that you can command in real time. It's very clearly Mass Effect inspired, but in 2025, and that's an exciting prospect rather than feeling like a copycat. And knowing how the studio usually does things, I expect tactical elements that don't suck, which actually, I mean, it's not like they really suck in Mass Effect, but there's barely anything there. I will say their games can be uncompromisingly difficult. Owlcat. But I mean, they're aiming for a more mainstream audience. I don't know, maybe maybe expecting Owlcat's mean streak to end is probably naive. But that's something you like about them? I don't know, if you've tried Pathfinder, you know what I mean. We're hoping that you guys aren't really having a mean streak, though, today. A lot of you who are watching this, more than not, in fact, are not subscribed to gameranx. So we're just going to take this quick moment to ask for your subscription. It helps us out a whole lot, and hopefully it helps you see some stuff you want to see. It's doing us a huge solid. We fully acknowledge that, so big thank you to everybody who clicked subscribe today. Let's get on with the video. And number 9 is Canyons, another 4-player co-op PvE game, another Left 4 Dead clone. This is not, though. What makes this game so unique is the crawlers, these massive steel walkers that are essential for exploring the titular canyons, the only place in this dead world that is inhabitable. The basic premise is you go on expeditions in these canyons. They're randomly generated, so there's an infinite number of them. You fight enemies, you collect loot and resources, and you eventually exfiltrate back to your safe haven and plan the next mission. The base isn't like a static mission hub, though. It's a place where you can build structures and create infrastructure using stuff you acquire in the canyons, and eventually build up an entire thriving community of people that you rescue and traders who come in from other settlements. Your crawlers can be upgraded and enhanced, as well as your character. It's even possible to find derelict crawlers out in the canyon and bring them back to your haven, repair them, and use them. There's a morality system in place where you can make choices that have consequences in the long run, so there's a lot going on here, more than your usual co-op shooter. Certainly more than your typical extraction shooter. It's from the developers of Breath Edge, which is pretty rough and tried too hard to be funny, to the game's detriment, but the Canyons trailer feels a lot more natural with the lighthearted elements. Overall, this just looks a lot more ambitious and an interesting game, and I really hope it ends up being as fun as the trailer makes it look, because the trailer makes it look fun as hell. At number 8 is Vampire Crawlers. The highly anticipated follow-up to Vampire Survivors is not what anybody would have anticipated. When you hear what it is, you might groan, but if you watch the trailer, I feel like it's basically impossible not to get hyped. It's really fun looking. So, the game. It's yet another roguelike deck builder. It calls itself a turbo wildcard game. I don't know what the hell that means, but I know what roguelike deck builder means. It's basically the indie genre that said, hey, you guys are complaining about there being too many Metroidvanias? Well, hold my beer. There are so many of these things, it is tempting to just dismiss them out of hand. But this one looks freaking cool. So it's not just a roguelike deck builder. It is also a first-person dungeon crawler with what looks like a huge variety of environments to explore, and it looks just like those AI pixel art medieval games that people got pissed about. On top of that, it looks like an actually fun game that's in an overcrowded genre that you don't expect a fun game out of. Like I said, it's really hard not to see this trailer and get all hyped. It looks like a really fast, over-the-top, crazy version of this genre that, I mean, honestly, most of these types of games do not look exciting at all. And this looks exciting. It looks exciting as hell. It's bringing the original game's insane energy to a deck-building dungeon crawler, which is just not a combination I ever thought I would give a shit about until I saw this trailer. And number 7 is the Blood of the Dawnwalker, an upcoming action RPG from former CD Projekt Red head of production for Cyberpunk 2077. On the surface, doesn't look super ambitious. Looks like a more vampire-themed Witcher 3, but I think it's actually more interesting than that. Not that that isn't interesting already, I will say, depending on the type of person you are. I am the type of person that's interesting for. But the emphasis here is on open-ended missions that can be accomplished in different ways. Not just talking about dialogue choices. Apparently how you approach the missions can change drastically depending on your playstyle. So like, if you combined a vampire-themed Witcher 3 with Hitman, and because you're a vampire, skill set changes drastically on, different times a day. In the light, the game plays more like a traditional RPG where you can walk around, you can talk to people, get into sword fights, that kind of stuff. At night, though, you become a monster who has to sneak around and avoid detection, and you have to feed on the living. You have access to a whole bunch of vampiric powers, which allow you to explore locations in an entirely new way. On top of that, the game has a time limit of sorts. You have 30 days to rescue your family who has been taken, and that is your primary goal. Time actually stands still if you're just exploring, but every quest you complete advances time forward a little bit. So the difference between day and night really does matter in this game because you're not just advancing time whenever you want. You'll fail the game if you just do that. Apparently, there really isn't a central quest. It's basically all side quests that in some way assist you with your ultimate goal of rescuing your captured family members. These are all really interesting and unusual ideas for a third-person RPG, and the trailers make it clear the game's probably going to have some rough edges. I think there's a lot of potential here. And number 6 is Nivalis. This looks like it could end up being something special. Usually with life simulators, you're managing like an idyllic little farm situated in some cozy village, but this is a cyberpunk life simulator. It's not a shooter. You're not blasting fools in the game, but instead you're customizing your apartment, taking on jobs, apparently all the way up to managing restaurants and nightclubs, growing your business, as well as growing literal plants if you want to. You can make friends, you can go fishing, or just take in the sights of the city. The graphics, rudimentary, but also pretty charming at the same time. The world looks massive and pretty fun to explore. The amount of stuff seen in the most recent trailer is actually mind-boggling for an indie. There's so much stuff you can apparently do in this game that it's hard to keep track. Even if the result ends up being more limited than it appears, I am excited for it. And for what it's worth, the game has been delayed multiple times, so it is possible they're a little ambitious with this thing. Too ambitious, and even. But I do hope when it finally comes out, it will be worth the wait. And number 5 is Zoopunk. Got a respected developer that really tries to go big with their second game. These guys' first game was Fist Forged in Shadow Torch, which is a pretty cool little Metroidvania. Could have polished up what they had, refined some of the ideas, and that would have been cool, but instead of doing that, they decided their next game would be a full-on Devil May Cry style action game. There are so few developers making action games like this that seeing anyone go this more spectacular combo-based combo system is exciting already, but Zoopunk is intriguing beyond that because there's also features such as other playable characters. I don't know if you can switch between them on the fly, but they do appear to be fighting alongside your character, and the game does describe itself as an action RPG, so it's possible you can swap characters at will. We don't know, just to be clear. There appear to be some really large open environments to explore and many bosses to take down, but what stands out is just how entertaining it looks. I'm sure it's challenging, but it doesn't seem to be trying to be another Dark Souls game. It's doing something different, a little less punishing, and we love a good challenge, but not every game needs to be that. And number 4 is Stranger Than Heaven. The newest upcoming game from the Yakuza studio looks like it's going to be their most unique and ambitious game yet. These guys could have just easily continued to milk the Yakuza like a Dragon franchise until the end of time, but instead they chose to make whatever this is. Actual hard information about the game is scarce, but what we do know is that it's set in Sotenbori, Osaka, a common fictional location from the Yakuza series, and it takes place over 3 time periods: 1915, 1929, and 1943. So it would be showing the evolving state of Japan during the 20th century. The historical context is interesting, but what's most intriguing about this game is stuff like the way crowds move en masse and can knock you around if they're startled, or the way enemies can take a pot shot at you if they're on the ground. It looks like a real evolution of their usual formula and a big step forward for the studio as a whole. I'm really curious to see what they have up their sleeve with Stranger Than Heaven. I cannot wait, but I'm gonna have to because it seems like it's a 2027 game. And number 3 is Pony Island 2 Panda Circus. Inscription was nuts, but this next game from Daniel Mullins looks even crazier. The first Pony Island was, in a lot of ways, a dry run for the wild metal twists of Inscription, and this sequel looks like it's going to be as much of a leap forward. It's looking to be even more of a wild collage of unexpected gameplay elements with first-person segments, different shifts in both 2D visual styles and the gameplay, and even FMV segments. Looking back at the trailer again, there's some original Pony Island DNA there, with simplified hacking minigames and auto-scrolling segments, but Panda Circus looks massive in comparison to their other games, just from the amount of stuff in the trailer. And number 2 is Neverway. This is the sort of game we don't really cover on the channel that much, a 2D pixel art life sim, but this looks so weird and intriguing it deserved a mention, and this video kind of is a good place to mention it. The elevator pitch is that it's Stardew Valley meets psychological horror, which sounds possibly a little lame, but the weird visuals and excellent music in the trailer make it feel not lame, like a cohesive idea. Most of the essential life sim elements seem to be here, with characters to befriend, the farming to be done, but the trailer shows a lot more going on, with you exploring strange alien environments, places twisted beyond recognition, fighting strange enemies, boss creatures even. A lot of these games incorporate some form of combat or exploration elements, but they're usually the weakest parts of the game, while with Neverway they seem like they're putting some serious effort to making these parts better integrated into the experience, and even if they don't, the game looks like an audio-visual experience that could be a real breakthrough hit when it launches sometime next year. And finally, at number 1, it's Kingmakers, a game with a simple but brilliant purpose. You get to be the guy who brings a gun to the sword fight. You're a soldier sent back in time to medieval times. You have to wage a one-man war to turn the tide of battle and somehow save the world. I don't know, I don't care. All they needed to say was Dynasty Warriors, but with a machine gun, and I'm there. But the game actually seems a lot more ambitious than that. It's got real-time destruction physics, a lot of vehicles, including a tank, but it also even has a base building mechanic. So it's not just a third-person shooter, it's also part real-time strategy. The game was meant to come out this year, but the early access got delayed. A firm release date has not been set, which isn't the most inspiring news, but I think it's pretty clear the devs realize there's a lot of hype behind this, so they don't want to launch in rough shape. A little jank is expected, but if it was going to feel like an early alpha rather than a beta, delaying it was probably the right choice. They have big plans for this thing, and if the trailers are actually accurate to what the gameplay is going to be like, this is going to be a wild ride. They even plan on including 4-player co-op, these madmen, so Kingmakers sounds like a hugely ambitious undertaking that may be a ways off, but I, for one, am pretty excited about it. That's all for today. We covered some pretty awesome projects. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. Join the 1% Club and listen to The Falcon Show. We're having a blast over there, and we'll see you next time right here on Gameranx.